Well, it's Stage Suite number 16. A long time ago, I started with special guest speakers on Saturday mornings, and it was a hit. And then about 6 months ago, we decided to invite extra people that weren't at the Stage Suite to come hear the special guest speaker because we just wanted to share how awesome these people are. And so Talia Dashow, I met her at Speakers Playhouse, and I was saying that I had a stage for speakers, and she was running a creativity club. Well, I was definitely interested there. Now, she is a coach with people on ending procrastination and on using creativity as a means to grow. She has been coaching since 2001, helping people become more productive and feel better. Talia also runs Creativity Club, a Zoom room where we play creativity games to become more flexible thinkers and see more possibilities. Talia has earned a BA in English at UC Berkeley, a certificate as a mediator, and a certificate to facilitate Lego serious play. I love that bio. And so she helps people turn work into play. People tend to become stuck when there is work they want to avoid. By looking at things through a lens of creativity and play, we can loosen things up and make them appealing and become productive. Welcome, Talia.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. It's been interesting. I've been thinking about how to talk to all of you because so many of the audiences I talk to, they don't believe that they are creative. I'll talk to entrepreneurs who have created a business out of nothing, and they say, I don't have a creative bone in my body. And I'm like, you don't understand how creative you are. But in this case, I'm talking to a whole lot of people who already know how creative you are and already channel that access to this to source and the you already know so much about being creative. So I've been trying to sort of turning over in my mind, how do I talk about creativity to a group of people who already know so much about creativity? So if I repeat some things that you already know, my apologies. I hope that I can at least bring a new twist on things or remind you of something that you had forgotten, something along those lines. One of the things that I find is so valuable about creativity is that it can really pull people out of a perfectionist mindset. This is something that I fall into. We all fall into it has to be perfect before we can start. And I just find that you can't hold on to it has to be perfect before I can start. And what happens if I try this at the same time, right? So what happens if I try this? Kind of curiosity and exploration allows for things to grow and to see what happens. And it really keeps it has to be perfect voice a lot quieter. So this is one of the reasons why I just am such a big advocate for creativity. But there's also an element of play that I feel is real. Actually, before I go into the play, I would love to try something with all of you. If you are in a place where you are safe and comfortable to do this, could I ask you to please stand up? I'm going to move my chair back. Okay. So science has told us that crossing the midline is a way to help connect the two sides of our brain. So if you could just do a little twirl like this to get your arms to cross the midline, it is something that is scientifically proven to help connect the sides of your brain. Okay, pause for a moment. Now, remember being a small child when you would do things just because it felt good to do it. And you might swing your arms around just because it was fun. So now do the same thing, but pretend you're a little kid and just swing your arms around and cross that midline, but just do it because it feels good and it's fun. Woo! All right, that was beautiful. Thank you all. I'm going to quickly adjust my screen here. All right. Did that feel different to you? Doing something because you're supposed to, because it's good for you, because there's scientific proof that it is valuable, is a whole different experience than doing something because it's fun, it's pleasurable, it's playful, you're bringing some spark of joy into it and finding a spark of joy in it. And this is one of the wonderful, powerful things about play and creativity, is that it can bring a sense of joy to even really mundane things. You can turn what is something that is, something you have to do, that is, you have to do adult things, and into something that is joyful and fun. And I find that creativity and play is the channel into so much of this type of thing. And in fact, there's a lot of being an adult and being serious and being practical. I think I said yesterday, I hate the word practical because I got this so much from my parents. That's not practical. You're never going to make a living doing that. You've got to be practical. And the thing is that we get kind of tunnel vision. We see just a couple of options. It's going to be black or it's going to be white, and that's it. Those are the only things we see. And the truth is that there's an infinite number of possibilities in every situation. And finding even one of those other options can open everything up and makes it, whatever choice that you make, it makes it feel more yours and more something that you want rather than something that you have to do, because you can see the whole variety of options. I'm going to give a kind of an example that's a little bit not serious, but it's an example that I like. I had a pair of jeans that I really, 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 really liked, and they got a stain on them. And I thought, I can wear them to do schmoogie stuff, painting and gardening and stuff, or I can throw them out. And that was like the only options, until I had this idea that I could draw on my pants. I could take that stain and turn it into art. And they became my even favoritist pants, because they had these flowers that had ears as part of the flowers, all going up and down the leg. I got so many compliments on this pair of pants that I had drawn on because they had gotten ruined, because they had gotten stained, right? So just opening up that possibility of what else could I do with this? What are the other possibilities? What else? There can't just be two options here. There's always more things that we could do. So just as an example of how using that creativity can really help open up possibility. So I thought maybe we could play a creativity game, because really what I do in Creativity Club and in all my coaching is that I use creativity games to help people access this feeling of possibility, the feeling of play, and people become sort of inevitably more flexible, more confident, just by allowing themselves to be silly and showing up fully, and having these crazy ideas be celebrated rather than shut down. So I wanted to bring that in to do with all of you as well. And since you all are writers, I'm going to do something that uses words. Actually, a lot of my games use words. I really like language, so I play a lot with language. But this game is what I call a 4-letter word sentence. This is the way it works. We're going to all select one word together, a 4-letter word, not that kind of 4-letter word. I know what you're thinking. It's going to be a nice 4-letter word. And we're going to write a 4-word sentence with each word starting with one of the letters in our 4-letter word. So if the word were time, You could write, this is my example. This starts with T, it starts with I, my starts with M, example starts with E. It's a really boring sentence, but it fits the the construction, right? People do this with fears, false evidence appearing real, that kind of thing. So does anybody, Rusty, would you like to pick a 4-letter word for us to work from?
Joys. Joys.
Joys. You've got a couple of tough letters in that. Okay, we can do this. All right, so I don't care if your sentence has a subject and verb. I don't care if it makes sense. The point isn't to be perfect. The point is to play, to come up with whatever you come up with. And Rusty already has one. Just other years suck. I love that. So go ahead and throw it into the chat, whatever you come up with. Let me take a moment and try to come up with something. January is my enemy. Oh no, I mean, I just mixed up time and joys. Hang on a sec. Let me try this again. January opens your sight. There we go. That's a better sentence.
That's a good one for the beginning of the year too. January opens your sights.
Yeah. What else do I have here?
Look at that, Veronica.
Just offering your silliness, justice over your stink, jump over your shyness. These are amazing sentences, you guys. This is awesome.
Yeah, way to go, Esther. Just offering your silliness.
I love it.
Yeah. Dorian, Virginia, do you have something? Who knew that you could do it for it? This kind of reminds me of Ernest Hemingway's short story, 6 words, 2 sentences. Baby shoes, never used, for sale.
Right.
Yeah.
You can tell such a big story in so few words.
Oh, look at that.
I love these. Sometimes the sentences that are just like sort of throwing words out, that's all you can think of, end up having the most amazing imagery to them.
Yeah, Talia, do you see Caroline's?
Jolly origins, yet shy. Oh,
yeah.
I love this. So yeah, sometimes I like to go for the sentences that have they don't make much sense, but they just have these amazing words in them. And other times I try to have sentences that are like, this holds together as a sentence. It doesn't matter. They're all welcome. Everything is welcome. And the more you get to, the more people in general, and I know that you all know this because you're part of Rusty's group and you've experienced this with Rusty, how she accepts everything that you bring to the group, and all of you is welcome here. I do the same thing in my group, that I want people to show up just as they are and bring whatever they come up with. And it doesn't have to be perfect. There's really isn't a perfect. You really can't do it wrong. This is my philosophy on creativity. You can't do it wrong. There isn't a right. There's no grades. There's no perfect. It's just a chance to play and explore and grow and allow and be curious, and opens up space, and it opens up possibility, and it opens up connections to joy, and it allows more ways that work can become fun. Oh, I like this one as well. Justice only yearns sometimes.
Oh, that's a good one, Talia. Oh.
That was Esther's. That was beautiful. So I guess I wanted to just see if anybody has any questions, any responses, anything you'd like me to elaborate more on, if you want to play another game.
Another game might be fun, and then definitely questions. If people have questions, raise your hands or wave your hand wildly, and maybe give us an example of how you've used this in a workplace or for a work situation.
Well, do you mean like with a work team, or to help develop my own like dealing with something I don't want to deal with.
Yeah, your own dealing with something you don't want to deal with, because I think gamifying, if people haven't read Jane McGonigal's Super Better, it gamifying things. Talia, you're onto something, and she wrote about it too. Gamifying things makes things fun. I often make my work fun, but I want to hear from you.
There's a few different ways that I use these to make work fun. One of the things that I like to do is play with my imagination. So if I don't want to take the garbage out, maybe I can put myself into a novel that I've, said I'm a slave girl and I'm being required to do all the dirtiest work. Well, actually taking the garbage out isn't that bad compared to some of the things that this character had to do, but it was suddenly, I'm not me doing a chore. I'm off another place. Or maybe we've terraformed this new planet, and I step outside of my house and I'm amazed that I can breathe the air and I don't need to wear my EV suit to take out the garbage. Like, how cool is that? So imagination can play a big part in making things just more fun to do when I don't want to do them. Another thing that I sometimes do when I faced with something I really, really don't want to do is that I'll look at the pile up of emotion around it. Because usually the thing that I don't want to do, it's not that I don't want to do it because it's impossible to do it. It's because I've got a lot of feelings around it. I'm going to use taxes as an example. I don't think anybody enjoys doing taxes. But there's times that I have put off even starting my taxes for a really long time. Once I actually get started, it's not usually so bad, but getting started is difficult because I have this mountain of feelings around it. So I started to separate some of the different feelings. Like, I feel a little embarrassed about my system for keeping track of receipts in an envelope. It's not very sophisticated, and maybe I should try to come up with something better. Well, it's what I have right now. So I can put on my list of things to do later to come up with a better system. But for now, it's working. So, okay, this is what I've got. And then I don't know if I'm giving my accountant the right information, and do they need more detail? Do they need less? Do I need to find some, am I telling them the right things? Am I interpreting their question correctly? And like, okay, I could write to them. I could call them. I could put a note on the planner thing that I send back to them, or I can just rely on them to tell me if I do it wrong, right? I could just take a guess and let that be good enough, and they'll let me know if I missed. I have all these feelings about like resentment about having to spend all my time and energy doing this stuff. Like, why? Seems like such a waste. But at least I know that I'm not the only one. Like, everyone in the country is dealing with this at the same time. We all have to spend our time and energy working on this. I'm not being singled out for this one. So like going through all of the feelings one by one and addressing them makes less of a mountain of things that I'm trying to carry around with me. And it takes weights off of me, and continues to take weights off until the only thing that I have to carry is the actually doing the taxes, as opposed to all the other feelings around it. Which isn't exactly a playful, creative thing, but it is a way of getting down to like allowing myself to get started. And one of the reasons that Creativity Club is so valuable for me is that it is a space where there's no judgment, and anybody can bring in who you are, and we don't pile on the shoulds and shouldn'ts and I'm not good enoughs, and we all come up with them. I came up with one last night here, and people come up with it all the time in my group. Like, I don't like what I did. I like what you did, but I don't like what I did. We all are sort of participate in saying, like, releasing some of these gremlins and these things that make it so heavy, and allow space for more things to come through, the more of the lighter elements to come through.
Hmm. Yeah, I was really glad that you mentioned taxes, because that is the one thing. And how might we gamify taxes? Maybe just open it up and see if anyone has some ideas on how to gamify taxes, because that's one that a lot of people have trouble with. Like, where's the creativity in numbers and taxes and paying the government? And Ambica, yes, pays an accountant. And then I'm sure that a lot of us are really curious about the Lego certificate for serious play, facilitating serious plays. Can you talk about that?
I'd love to. So I've spent a really long time in my life trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. Uh, because none of the things that come naturally to me are things that are generally useful in a job. Let me just say. At one point, I took a course to try to figure out what was it that I do as automatically as breathing that I don't really even notice necessarily. And I think everybody does it because it comes naturally to me, but not everybody does it. And it turns out play, creativity, and community building are all part of my DNA. It's all part of how I'm wired and what I bring to every situation. It's really not something that's called for in office work or in lots of different jobs. There's no job requirements out there saying you want someone who's full of play and creativity and community building. But what I discovered was that there was this thing called Lego Serious Play, and that Lego has actually developed. They looked at their business meetings and said, we create this really creative product, but our business meetings are not creative. What can we do about that? And they hired people who knew about how the brain works, and they did all this research, and they came up with this system of using Lego bricks to build ideas and metaphors. So you actually bring Legos into a workplace and have people build themselves like I would come in and talk and help people with team building. Like, what does your team need in terms of communication? What do you need to feel safe? What are pieces of the culture that are important to you to keep? What are pieces of the culture that you could let go of? If there's two teams that are merging, what are pieces of each of their cultures that you want to hang on to? And then how can we put them together into a shared space that we all can use? So there's ways you can build. We built whole models of the company, the whole company, and then would run scenarios through it and see where it broke, so that they could do planning ahead of time. Like, well, if it's going to break here, then what can we do to shore that up so it won't happen? Like, break the model rather than breaking the business. So there's so many ways that you can use Legos, because, and this is their secret sauce, the hands have a direct connection to parts of the brain that you don't get to from writing or talking, that the hands and the brain developed in sync when we came out of the trees and onto the plains, that the hands started to evolve and change. Their eyesight started to change. The brain started to change. All of this changed in sync. So when you're building something with your hands, you can actually mine yourself for knowledge that you didn't even know that you had.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun, but I find it very difficult to do over Zoom.
Yes, I imagine it is. So Ambica said, is it from Serious Play or direct from Lego? And she uses Lego to unlock ideas.
Lego developed Lego Serious Play, so it is both.
Mm-hmm. If people were to look at Ambica's behind her, she's got Lego, the Harry Potter owl, and she's got a Lego typewriter and a Lego self-portrait. So you're talking to the converted the choir there with
Oh yeah, there's so much you can do with Lego. It's very fun and versatile.
for sure. All right, so any other questions for Talia? All right, Ambica.
So I was, of course, Googling because I want this certification. So I found a site called Serious Play that offers this certification. I'm wondering where, but I see others. Where were you certified?
I went up to Canada to get certified with strategic play, I think was the place that I went. It turns out, at least when I got certified, and this was a few years ago, that Lego had stopped certifying people themselves, but they would only allow people they had trained to train new people. So I'm not allowed to train new people because I'm not one of the people Lego trained. I got trained by one of their trainers. So they're trying to sort of control it, but also not be in charge of it.
Wow. Mayor's asking, does doing something like cooking work the same way, building something with your hands?
I think similar. I certainly know that doing anything with my body, whether it's taking a walk or cooking or, somehow doing something, allows my brain to let go of whatever it's chewing on and allow more space for new ideas to come in. I think the advantage of Lego is that it has ready-built pieces that you can put together and then give meaning to it. I tried to do this with clay at one point, and it was too formless. There was nothing for people to build with. Also, there were people who didn't want to get their hands dirty. So it was, Lego is cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
But it also has the ready-built pieces that you can assign meaning to. There's already windows and doors. There's already animals and people and crowns and shovels and all these pieces. So you can put together these things and give it meaning quickly and easily.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when you're cooking, it definitely allows the thinking part, like your brain to work differently than it does when you're just focused on a problem. But it doesn't give you that extra step of building the metaphor and telling a story about what it is that you're building.
Mm-hmm. I'm really curious what your parents think of your when they raised you with that's not practical, and look at you, you said what you have in your DNA is community building, play, fun type thing. And so what do they think now of the Lego certificate and what you're doing?
When I was got an English degree in university, my grandmother said, "So are you going to open an English store?" Like the practicality runs deep. But on the other hand, my dad is a professional musician. So there was, he played in the San Francisco Symphony for 35 years. So there's this sort of a both and going. My mom was the practical one, and it was her mom who was asked if I was going to open the English store. I don't think my mom entirely understands what I do. Mm-hmm. I've learned to not bring new ideas to my mom until they're fully fleshed out. And if my idea is not yet fully fleshed out, to tell her that it's not fully fleshed out and it's not ready for criticism yet. And that has helped a lot. She usually says, "Oh, I would never criticize it," but of course she would if I didn't frame it that way. But it's, some ideas just need room to grow. And as a kid, I would bring these ideas to my mom, and it felt like I was like telling her, "I have a flower growing in my heart. Can you help me nurture it and help it grow?" And she would pluck it and put it in a vase on the table and say, "That's so pretty. You made a thing." And it crushed me because I wanted this to grow. And she was like, "Okay, it's done." So she's not the one to help nurture the ideas.
Right. That is valuable what you said there, because I often tell writers that we need to choose friendly readers. We need to choose friendly listeners. We need to choose, and as a child, sometimes we do not have that access to people that know how to dream with us. And no fault to your mother at all, because she has her reality that that led her to wanting you to have a practical life, something that was going to take care of you. That's, another artist story too, that her parents, she wanted to be an artist, and then, but they wanted practical. They wanted practical. And so she chose the next best thing to her, painting, and she became an international tax lawyer. But in her 50s, she was having all these dreams of this hand painting something, and the paintings were beautiful. And when she went to the Louvre, and I can't say that properly in French, in Paris, and she realized that she wanted to paint again, and she was journaling all these dreams, and she was journaling, writing down the paintings that were happening in her dreams. And when she realized that she wanted to take up art again, then the dreams revealed that the hands painting were her own, that she was doing them. They were her paintings in her dreams, and now she's painted her dreams. And so it's so important that that we encourage our children to have other people in their realm that, will say things like, that is really gorgeous. What can it become? Or what can we do with it? And allow for that expansion. I think that's the beauty of your talk here today, is you're sharing that story about how can we be that for the children that come into our sphere of influence. If we're not parents, if our children are already grown, how can we be that encouragement? How can we be that encouragement for a fellow artist like Caroline, who's told to be real and give up her stone sculpting, and her stone sculptures are beautiful? I must connect you with this one author who is a STEM author. She is in the technology field, and she works with big companies about their culture and how they can keep up the navigating the digital shift. And I think that you two would be a great collaboration together to go into workplaces and do stuff. So I will connect you with her.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, so Veronica said, I think it's marvelous that there are fantastic new venues to make a living that no one told us about when we were kids. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
And I think that whatever my kid is going to end up doing with their life hasn't even been invented yet.
Yeah, that's another way to look at it. We did something about what is education going to look like in 20 years from now? And I was one of the facilitators and note takers at these events that they were flying us in these little planes across Alberta and Canada to do these functions. And you're right. There are so many things like, what is education going to look like when a 4-year degree, by the time you graduate, you're already outdated because things are happening so fast. So the field is wide open. Yeah.
And really, imagination and creativity and flexibility of thinking and possibility thinking is what is going to allow people to ride these changes and figure out what comes next. That the more we are stuck in, this is what I learned, and this is the way it happens, and this is the only right way, and we can't do it any other way, this is what we've always done. You can't pivot, you can't change to the new situations that come up. But practicing this what if thinking, and the let's try, let's imagine what else could happen, and what other possibilities are there? How could we make something else happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Allows you to respond in the moment to whatever is happening in the world.
Beautifully said. I think we'll end with, I'll give people a chance to think of any other questions, and we'll end with, I don't know if you know this, but Bill will appreciate this, what you just said about, doing things the way they've always been done. And there's this story about 5 apes in a cage, and they put a banana from a string at the top with a ladder. And every time an ape goes to get the banana, they shoot high velocity and cold water at the apes. And then they start taking apes out, leaving, some of the originals and bringing new apes in. And as the new apes come in, they go to get the banana, and the other apes attack it because they don't want the cold water, until there's no original apes left in, and no new apes can go for the banana, because that is happening. Why? Because that's the way it's always been done in a workplace. And that's what it's like without the creativity, flexibility, and possibility thinking. Were those the 3 things you had? Creativity, imagination, possibility. Did I miss something? Awesome. So questions, and going once, going twice. Oh, Veronica, go ahead, unmute.
Muted. So your Curiosity Club, was that Creativity Club?
Mhm.
How would people access it, or is it open?
It is definitely open. It is free. We meet every Thursday from 4 to 5 Pacific, because I'm here in California. And if you go to my website, there is information about it there. I will put that in the chat momentarily, but I can't do that and talk at the same time. So give me just a moment and I'll get it into the chat. I also run a creativity gym. The Creativity Club is free and it's just playing games. We go do a game, we write an activity, we do another one, we do another one. We don't really talk about it. We just have fun. And you still get all the benefits of being creative, the becoming more flexible and confident and create all this stuff, better problem solvers, better brainstormers, all of this stuff happens just from the play. In the Creativity Gym, we do all of that, but with more debrief. So we talk about the benefits of being creative. We talk about what did you learn from doing this exercise. We talk about how you can apply that to work or at home. So it's more of a deep dive into each of the games we play.
And that's a membership structure, right?
That's a membership.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all that information is on my website.
Yeah, and definitely put it in the chat, and I'll make all that available in the document I send out to everyone, and I share with all of the other writers that have ever attended. So we'll share your information widely, broadly, deeply, everywhere. And I'll make sure that that's also part of the video that I record later for you. So I just want to say again, questions going once, going twice, going 3 times, 4, 5. Thank you, Talia, so very much for coming and being a speaker and joining the writers this weekend and playing full out with us. It's clear that you know how to play. It's clear that you love words and language, and you are a fit for this tribe too. And please, everyone, if you have a chance to go and enjoy Talia's Creativity Club, that sounds fabulous. I keep on wanting to go, but I have so many things booked on Thursday afternoons that I just can't make it. And so I thought this week, American Thanksgiving, I can go, because the other things are canceled. And of course, she's American and she canceled Creativity Club, so I couldn't make it. One of these times I'll do my best and see if I can get there.
So I do offer 2 free creativity gym sessions before people need to commit. So if you ever want to go to one of the gyms, those meet on Mondays. And maybe you can find one of those 2, they meet 2 different times on Mondays. So you might be able to find a time there that fits.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. So there you go. There's everybody, those options there too, just to experience more of Talia. If you can't make it to the Creativity Club, you can try out the Creativity Gym twice. That's brilliant. And thank you again, Talia. I am so grateful that you came and spoke with us this Saturday. And that's it. We'll take a little quick break for the writers who are staying with us to refill their water, their tea, their coffee, and we'll come back and do some more sharing. And the gyms, they're on Talia's website, Ambika, and I'll make sure that all of Talia's information is available in the documents I send out later. And Talia, you can put it in the chat again and again so people can find it. And that's it. Thank you again, Talia.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.